afternoon and welcome to Recipe Day with J. Renee. I am so excited to be with you again today. We have the most wonderful soup that we're going to be preparing. It is a corn cheese chowder. Let me tell you, this is the most delectable recipe. I think that you're really going to enjoy it. Today I've already prepared and pre-cut a lot of the vegetables that we're going to use today. As we're approaching the fall, a lot of the pretty colors such as your reds and yellows and oranges reminds me of the leaves when they're falling from the tree. Just such a beautiful time of the year. We've got the green onions, we've got regular onions, we've got fresh cut corn, your salt, pepper, your chicken broth, half and half, a few good pieces of bacon here. Who can have a meal without some bacon in it? And butter. And so what we're going to do to get started, we're going to caramelize our onions and our peppers inside of the pot. So let's go. We're going to start by putting our onions inside of our pot. Make sure you get them all. And we're also going to use our peppers. That's red, yellow, and orange bell peppers. You want to use about 2 whole onions if you're making it for more than a family of 4. That way they can always come back for seconds. So red, yellow, and orange bell peppers, about 6 of those, and about 2 whole onions. You want to get that mixed into the pot. And what I did was took some of the bacon grease that I had from the bacon that we had already prepared, and now what we're going to do is take it to the stove and saute it. You will also need about 1 stick of margarine, or you can use pure butter for a more richer taste. So what we're going to do is take that 1 stick of butter and we're going to break it down so that it can cook evenly. So one part of the butter doesn't burn. So we'll just break it down in just to a few pieces there. Uh-oh, almost lost it. And it would help sometimes if you take the butter out sooner. That way it won't get stuck to the spoon. But nevertheless, all you have to do is use a spatula to rake it off. So now, let's take this over to the stove and let's go ahead and get it caramelized. We already have the stove preheating so that it wouldn't take much time for the caramelization to begin. And with the oils that were already in the bottom of the pot, oh my goodness. You can smell the aroma coming from the peppers and the onions together. It smells like fall in the pot. And this makes for a hearty, good meal, especially if you serve it with a sandwich. And any soup that you're preparing, if you want to make it larger, you can always take other vegetables to add along with it. For example, you could add broccoli to this. Or you could add peas, green peas to it. And for some would like to add chicken to it to make it like a chicken chowder. But today's dish is going to just be the plain corn, and I'm using white shoe peg corn. And I took about 6 ears of corn and cut them all off of the cob. And that corn has already been prepared and is ready and waiting to go into the pot all together. So we're going to let that sit there and simmer just a little bit and get caramelization on it. Doesn't that look delicious? And make sure you get all that good butter melted down inside of there. And this would be a very good place to go ahead and season and bring some salt and pepper to taste. So we've already got a little bit of salt and a little pepper. And we're going to bring that over and we're going to season it with a little salt to taste. So because our shoe peg corn has a natural sweetness to it, oh my gosh, it is going to be absolutely delicious. I'm a pepper fan in my family, so I love a little bit of pepper in my food. And some recipes, you can actually put a little bit of habanero pepper in it if you want it to be a little bit more spicier. In just a little bit, once this caramelizes just a little bit, we'll be adding our green onions. I'll also be adding a 1/4 cup of flour into it for thickness. And now once you get a little bit of caramelization on the peppers and the onions, this is the place where you want to add your flour. You add the flour inside of it and you're going to make a little bit of a roux. That smells so good. Makes me just want to dive right in the pot. that we've got a little bit of caramelization going there, we're going to take a 1/4 cup of flour and we're going to add that flour into our mixture. And so because I cook all the time, I know my measurements by heart, and which is going to be a 1/4 cup. So I'm going to take 2 heaping spoonfuls. Sometimes it wants to hop right out of the pot here. And maybe just a little bit more for love. And we're going to put that right there. And it's important that we grab it quickly so that we won't make lumps inside of our food. And it's important when you're cooking to make sure you keep your cooking area extremely clean. So if we can look over in the pot and see what the caramelization looks like and that roux is starting to look like. You stir that flour in really, really good there so that you make no lumps. And see, the bottom of the pot is now deciding to make a little bit of caramelization on the bottom there. That's where all of the good stuff is. So you don't want to leave that at the bottom of the pot. And so now, next, with the fire still going, we're going to add a little bit of chicken broth. So I have several different kinds of chicken broth. I have a chicken broth and a chicken stock that we're going to use. So we're going to start off with our cans of chicken broth. And you can use any brand of chicken broth. These are just our local grocery store chicken broth. I pour in 1 can. And 1 can is about 14 ounces. And now we're going to add our chicken broth and stock. This is where the goodness comes in. And if you don't want to use the ones out of the jug like this, you can make your own chicken stock by taking chicken bouillon cubes and use the recipe on the back to make your own chicken stock. Or whenever you have baked chicken one day, you can just take the juice from the baked chicken and save it for when you're making soups. That's what I normally do when I'm making chicken noodle soup. I save the stock from all the baked chicken, and I have my own chicken stock to use because it's so good and it makes the soup taste so much better. So in all, I used about, I guess about 6 cups of chicken broth for this soup, because remember I'm trying to feed at least 6 people with this soup. And this soup is going to be so delicious, especially now that the weather is starting to change and it's a little cool outside in the evening. Nothing like having a warm cup of soup to enjoy your evening with. And so we're just going to stir all of that in together, get the mixture going really good there. And right now you just have soup stock and red, yellow, and orange peppers along with your onions, along with the butter, salt, pepper, a little of the bacon grease that was left behind from cooking the bacon. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add, at this point, our corn. See all that goodness, corn goodness? This is corn that I had cut up to make sure that we had enough corn going on the inside. So sometimes when I cook corn, I will cut up enough corn and freeze it because it's actually fresh frozen. So I cut the corn up in advance and froze it to make sure that we had kept the sweetness from the original taste of the corn. So we're just going to pour all of that corn inside and get that going. This looks so delicious. Oh, it's so yummy. I cannot wait to taste this once we're done. I know you're just as excited as I am. So you got all your corn inside, and look at the colors on this. The colors on this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. You've got the reds, the yellows, the oranges. Absolutely just delectable goodness, and it's going to turn colors once we get the green onions inside. That's just going to be absolutely amazing. So now we're going to take our half and half, and just whatever your local grocery store has, you take your half and half. And just pop that little sucker open. And we're going to pour our half and half inside of our mixture. You don't want to use regular milk. You can use heavy cream. The heavy cream will make the soup a little bit more fattening. But the half and half is going to give you that creamy goodness along with the other part of what the 2% milk would give you. Going to be absolutely delicious. So now what we're going to do at this point, we're going to stir. Stirring the soup, and now you see it's starting to change and take on a different look. Right now it's not thick because it has to cook a little bit more. And typically at this point is where I would take a spoon and taste my juice to see what other seasonings I need. So now I'm just going to taste the juice to give me an idea of where we are. It's going to be delicious. Now what we have to do, I'm going to add just a little bit more salt in that. I think I need it all. And now at this point, and the rest of that pepper, toss it inside. We're going to stir it down really good. And now, all we're going to do now is let our pot of soup simmer. Your pot of soup should simmer for about 40 minutes or so. Once the soup is done simmering, then add your green peppers, your green onions, and you're going to be in for a treat.